The sun was falling behind the desert hills, painting the sky red and gold. Heat still rose from the sand, and the wind carried dust through the empty village. The human traveler, named Daniel, walked slowly, his boots crunching the dry ground. He had come far, looking for rare herbs said to grow near this place. But what he found was not what he expected. The village was quiet. Too quiet. No laughter, no voices. The buildings looked old, broken, tired like the people who lived here. Daniel saw a group of aliens sitting near a small fire, but when he walked closer, they turned their backs. "Hello?" Daniel said, raising a hand. No answer. He felt something was wrong. He passed an old well and turned down a narrow alley. That's when he heard a sound, soft, like a metal chain dragging on stone. He followed it slowly. The noise stopped. He stepped around a crumbling wall and froze. There she was, a girl, an alien girl, chained to a wooden post like an animal. Her skin was pale and dirty. Her arms were bruised. Her eyes, wide, sharp, and silent, stared at him without fear. Without hope, she didn't speak. Daniel felt his heart beat faster. The chains around her ankles and wrists were thick. Rusted, her body was too thin. Like she hadn't eaten in days, maybe weeks. Her lips were dry, cracked from the heat. Her hands rested in the sand, unmoving. He looked around. "What? What is this?" he whispered. An old alien woman appeared behind him. "Walk away, human," she said coldly. "Why is she chained?" Daniel asked, turning. "She earned it. She carries shame. She is not to be spoken to." "What did she do?" The woman's eyes narrowed. "She lives. That is enough." Daniel stepped back, shocked. "Everyone agrees," the woman said. "You should too, or you'll regret it." She walked away before he could ask more. Daniel turned back to the girl. She had not moved, not blinked, but her eyes. They were alive, sad, angry, tired. He took a step closer. She didn't flinch. Daniel reached into his bag and pulled out a water bottle. He bent down, slowly showing it to her. "Here," he said softly. She didn't reach for it. He opened the cap and placed it near her hand. Still no movement. She only stared. A boy ran past behind him and threw a stone at her. It hit her shoulder. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just closed her eyes for a moment. Daniel stood up fast. "Hey." The boy laughed and ran off. The village was watching from windows and shadows. No one said a word. Daniel turned back to her. "I'll come back," he said gently. "I'll help you." The girl slowly opened her eyes. For the first time, something changed in them. Not hope, not trust, just a flicker. A question? Why? Daniel walked away with heavy steps. He had seen many things in his life. War, pain, cruelty. But this felt different. That night, he couldn't sleep. Her eyes followed him in his dreams. Daniel returned the next morning. The wind was softer, but the silence in the village felt even heavier. No birds, no footsteps. No one smiled. The same old men sat by the fire. The same cold eyes watched him walk by. But no one stopped him. No one said a word. He followed the same path past the well, through the alley, around the broken wall. She was still there. The alien girl hadn't moved. Still chained. Still silent. Her head leaned against the wooden post. Her lips were cracked worse than before. Her arms looked thinner. Her feet were still buried halfway in the sand. But her eyes? They were open. They followed him again, not with fear. Not with hope, but with the same strange strength. Quiet, waiting. Daniel knelt down slowly. "I brought food," he said, holding out a soft piece of bread. "And clean water." Real water. She didn't blink. Didn't reach. He gently placed the bread near her hand. The bottle too. He watched her. Nothing. Not a flinch. Daniel felt pain in his chest. "You're not even going to look at it?" he asked. She kept her eyes on him like she was trying to read something deeper. Or like she was trying to say something without words. "I don't understand you," he whispered. "Why won't you eat?" Suddenly, someone shouted behind him. "Stop!" Daniel turned fast. A young alien boy stood there, holding a small stone. "Don't feed her," the boy shouted. "She's poison. My uncle said so." Daniel stood. "She's starving. She's not allowed to eat." The boy screamed and threw the stone. It missed this time, but the girl didn't even flinch. The boy ran away. Daniel turned back, shocked. "Why don't you cry? Why don't you scream?" he asked. Still no answer. She blinked, slowly then. Her fingers moved, just a little, and then she did something strange. She pushed the bread away. Daniel's eyes widened. Why? She looked at the bread, then at him. Then she closed her eyes, like she was saying, "I don't want your pity." Daniel felt his jaw tighten. He wasn't used to this. Most people would beg, plead, break, but not her. She didn't beg, she refused kindness. And yet, she watched him like he mattered. He sat beside her in the sand. "They told me you're cursed," he said. "That you did something terrible." No answer. He looked around. The village was still watching. He could feel it. Eyes behind curtains. Eyes behind walls. Everyone hated her. But no one would explain why. "I don't believe in curses," Daniel said. She didn't react. "I believe in pain. In lies. In cruelty. And I've seen enough to know when someone is being punished for something they didn't do." Still. No reply, but one tear rolled down her cheek. Only one. She didn't wipe it. Daniel leaned forward, whispering, "I'll be back again. And next time, I'll bring something more than food." Her eyes opened. For 1 second. Just 1 second. She looked like someone who wanted to believe him, but she didn't nod. She didn't thank him. She just watched. Like a ghost waiting for the storm, Daniel stood up, brushed the sand from his pants, and walked away. Each step felt heavier than the last dot behind him. The girl remained still. The bread sat in the sand, untouched but not unseen. Night fell slowly over the desert, turning the sky dark purple. Daniel sat in the small room he rented from a silent family who barely looked at him. The walls were thin. The air was hot. But his mind was hotter, burning with questions about the chained girl. Why wouldn't she speak? Why wouldn't she eat? Why did everyone fear her like a monster, yet treat her worse than one? He couldn't rest. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, her tear, her empty hands. Finally, he stood up, grabbed a small lantern, and stepped outside. The village was asleep, or pretending to be. Only the wind moved. Only the sand whispered dot above him. The moon hung low and read something he had only seen on alien worlds. The blood moon, a sign many species feared. Daniel followed. The same path as before, past the silent well, past the broken house, past the wall that hid secrets. He reached her corner, and then he froze. She was awake. Her head was lifted this time. Her eyes were open. Her chains shimmered in the red moonlight. She looked different, like the night had changed her. Daniel didn't speak. Something told him not to. The girl wasn't looking at him. She was looking at the sky. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Daniel stepped closer, quietly, carefully. Then he heard it, a whisper, soft, broken, almost too weak to exist. "Astra, Forgive me." Daniel's heart jumped. Astra, a name. A person, a prayer. She continued whispering, her voice full of sadness, fear, and something deeper, something heavy. "I did not mean to. I did not want the fire. I did not want to run." Daniel felt cold. Was this her story? Was this the truth everyone refused to tell? The girl's whisper changed, turning sharper, like a warning. "They watch. They always watch. They will never let me go. Please, let it end." Daniel felt the air tighten around him. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm here." Her eyes snapped toward him. Not weak, not empty, but terrified. "Don't be afraid." Daniel whispered. Her breath trembled. Her lips moved again, this time louder. "Go, go." Her voice cracked like dry stone. "They will come." "Who?" Daniel stepped closer. "Who will come?" She shook her head fast, panic in her eyes. Her chains rattled sharply, cutting her skin. Daniel grabbed her wrists gently. "Stop, you're hurting yourself." She looked straight into his eyes, and for the first time, she spoke clearly. "They will kill you." Daniel froze. Her voice was soft, weak, but deadly serious. "Why?" he whispered. "They don't want the truth," she said. "They want silence." Daniel's blood ran cold. "What truth?" he asked. She looked at the moon again. "The fire," she whispered. "The night everything changed. The night I tried to save them. But they said I brought the curse." Daniel clenched his fists. "What curse? You don't look cursed." She shook her head. "It's not me. It's what they fear." What they did? Suddenly, footsteps echoed at the end of the alley. Many footsteps. The girl's body stiffened. Her eyes widened with fear. She whispered one last thing. "Hide." Daniel blew out his lantern quickly and stepped behind the broken wall. A group of villagers walked toward Herman holding sticks, ropes, and small glowing stones that pulsed like angry hearts. They circled her, she lowered her. Head not fighting, not crying, just surrendering. The leader whispered, "Tonight, we renew the punishment." Daniel's heart raged inside him. He watched, helpless. As they raised their hands, the girl didn't scream. Instead, she whispered one final word. Astra. A name the wind carried away. A name Daniel promised himself he would uncover. Daniel didn't sleep. Not after what he saw. Not after what he heard. The girl's whispers haunted him. Her warning echoed in his mind. They will kill you. But he couldn't stop thinking of her chained body. Of the villagers circling like wolves, of how they called her a curse when all she did was survive. That night, Daniel made a choice. He would not ask for permission. He would not wait for truth. He would act. He took a cutting tool from his pack, small but sharp. Then he grabbed water, cloth, and bandages. If anyone saw him tonight, they'd know what he planned. So he waited until the wind rose and the moon passed behind the clouds. Then, he moved. Every step toward the wall felt heavier. Every corner of the village felt like eyes were watching from shadows. But no one stopped him. He reached the post. She was there, as always. But something was different tonight. She was awake, alert, and when she saw the tool in his hand, her eyes widened. "No," she whispered fast. "You don't understand." "I do," Daniel said, kneeling by her. "You're not a curse. You're a prisoner. They'll hurt you. Let them try." She looked away. "You don't know this place." Daniel placed a hand gently on her ankle chain. "Then tell me." But she didn't. She just closed her eyes. Daniel took a deep breath and brought the cutter to the metal. The chain was thick, but it had rusted in places. It groaned under pressure. He pushed harder. The sound of metal scraping filled the air. Clack, The first link snapped. The girl gasped, then stopped. A voice shouted from the shadows. Torches lit behind them. Villagers rushed in from both sides, carrying sticks and glowing ropes. Faces twisted with anger. Fear, rage. Daniel stood in front of the girl, shielding her with his body. She's done nothing. He yelled. She brings death. An elder cried. You've broken the seal. She's a person. She's a curse. The crowd closed in. A boy threw a stone it missed. A woman screamed, You doomed us all. Daniel spread his arms. She's not a monster. She whispered a name. She saved you once. They froze. One man stepped forward. His voice was low and cold. She was not meant to live. The fire took the others. She walked out of it. Daniel blinked. The fire. The great burning. Years ago. She was the only survivor. We gave her to the winds to keep the fire from returning. Daniel looked back at the girl. Her head was down. Her shoulders shaking. They blamed you. He whispered. The girl nodded once. I don't believe in curses, Daniel said, loud enough for all to hear. I believe in fear. I believe in guilt. And I believe this village has lived in both for too long. The crowd murmured. But no one stepped forward now. Daniel turned back to the chain. Clack, he broke the second link. The girl's ankle slipped free. The chain hit the ground like thunder. Everyone stood still. Then, an old woman dropped her torch. Not on purpose. The flame touched dry grass. It caught fast. Fire. Again screams rose. People ran. Panic took over. Daniel grabbed the girl's hand. Run. I can't. You can now. He pulled her, and she stumbled at first, but then her legs moved. She ran. Together. They vanished into the dark as the fire behind them rose, just like the old one. But this time, the cursed one escaped. The desert wind howled like a wounded beast. Daniel and the girl ran far from the village. Flames painted the sky behind them, but they didn't stop. Sand stung their faces. Rocks cut their feet. But they didn't stop. Not until the stars were high above, and the fire behind them had become only a memory. They found shelter in an old cave near the edge of a dry river. It was small and cold, but safe. Daniel lit a small fire with what little fuel he had left. He wrapped the girl's injured feet in cloth and gave her water. For the first time, she drank not much, but enough. Daniel sat beside her and waited. He didn't ask questions. He just watched the fire and let the silence speak. Then, in a voice soft like ash, she said, My name is Raya. Daniel turned. Her eyes met his. I was 12, she whispered. When the sky turned black. When the ships came, not from the stars, but from under the ground. The invaders. Daniel leaned closer, silent. They attacked at night. Fire, smoke, screams. The village was burning. Children ran. Elders fell. Everyone cried out. Her voice broke. I ran too, but I ran the wrong way. She pulled back her sleeve and showed him her arm. A long scar, twisted, deep. I found a tunnel. A place the invaders were coming from. I saw what no one else did. I saw the machine that lit the fires, and I broke it. Daniel stared at her, shocked. They found me after. The fire was gone. The sky turned blue again. The invaders left. I thought they would thank me. Her hands shook now, but they looked at me like a ghost. They asked how I survived when no one else did. How I walked out of the flames. Daniel spoke gently. They didn't believe you. No, she said. They feared me. Said I made a deal with death. That I traded their safety for something dark. They chained you. They called it a sacrifice, she said with pain in her eyes, to keep the fire from coming back. I was the price. Daniel's chest tightened. All these years. And no one spoke for you. She smiled sadly. One did. A woman. She tried to help me. They burned her house down. Daniel closed his eyes. Everything made sense now. The silence. The fear. The punishment. The lies, Astra, he said softly. You said that name? She looked at him. It was hers, Raya whispered. The woman who tried to protect me. My only friend. They said her kindness cursed them too. Daniel clenched his fists. They buried their shame by chaining you. Raya nodded. And I stopped speaking. Stopped eating. If I couldn't be free, maybe I could at least disappear. But you didn't. No, she said. You came. Daniel reached into his pack and pulled out a small pendant he found on the ground near her post the night before. A broken charm shaped like a star. Is this hers? He asked. Raya's eyes widened. She touched it gently and nodded. Then maybe, Daniel said, it's time we stop running. Maybe it's time they remember the truth. Raya looked at him with a new light in her eyes. Not fear, not anger, but strength. For the first time, her voice was steady. They won't let us come back. Daniel smiled. Then let's make them regret sending us away. End of part 5. Raya was finally free, but the desert did not forgive Isli. Her legs were weak. Her back still ached where the chains had dug in for years. Daniel knew she needed rest, but they didn't have time. The fire in the village would soon die, and when it did, the search would begin. They had to move. They headed deeper into the wastelands, where even maps grew quiet. Daniel followed old star reader signals from his wristband, hoping to find shelter, maybe help. But no one came. No ships passed. No drones. Just silence and sand by the third night. Raya could barely walk. Daniel lifted her onto a broken desert bike he'd found half buried in the dust. It still worked barely, but it moved faster than their feet. He wrapped her in his cloak and tied her to the seat with strips of cloth. We'll make it, he promised. But even his voice shook now. They needed fuel. They needed food, more than anything. They needed hope. Suddenly, his wristband beeped. He stopped. A signal. Weak. Fading but real. It came from the north. An old ruin. Once a watchtower. Long forgotten. They followed it by sunset. The tower rose ahead of them like a crooked tooth in the sand. Wind howled through its broken frame. The door was rusted open. Inside, dust covered everything, but the power core blinked faintly. Daniel rushed to it, connected wires, fixed joints, and prayed. The lights came on. The tower hummed. Raya smiled for the first time. But then, a sound, not from inside, from above. Daniel grabbed his scope and looked at the sky. 3 dark shapes. Fast, falling drones, he said. They found us. Raya's face turned pale. They'll call others. We need to send a signal first. To who? Daniel hesitated. Then typed fast into the tower console. A code, an old frequency. A desperate call. To anyone listening, this is human Daniel Ross. I have a survivor of the Zeltran fire. She is not a curse. She is the key. Please respond. Please help. He hit send. Seconds later, the console exploded in sparks. Too late, the drones had arrived. 3 of them circled the tower. Not from the village, but something worse. Government brand. Black steel. Silent wings. They were not here to ask questions. One opened fire. Daniel pushed Raya down just in time. Sparks burst around them. The drone circled for a second shot. Go, he shouted. Down the hatch. There was a crawlspace below the tower. An old escape tunnel sealed for decades. Daniel kicked it open. Dust shot out. Cold air followed. Raya jumped in. He followed as the hatch sealed above them. The first bomb hit the tower. The ground shook. They slid into darkness. The tunnel led deep. It twisted like a serpent under the earth. They ran through it, guided by emergency lights. Why would the government attack us? Raya asked between breaths. Daniel's face was hard. They knew what the village did. They allowed it. Maybe they feared the truth more than the fire. Then we're not running from villagers anymore, Raya said. No, Daniel said. Now we're running from everyone. They emerged miles away in a dried canyon full of bones and wind. Raya looked up at the stars. No more hiding, she said. I will tell my story, even if they kill me. Daniel smiled. Then we tell it together. And far above them, something answered. A ship, unmarked, silent, but watching. The ship landed without a sound. No engines roared. No lights blinked. It simply appeared like it had been waiting all along. Daniel stepped forward, shielding Raya with his arm. The canyon was quiet, but his heart raced. The ship's surface shimmered like silver water. No flag, no warning. Then, the door opened from the mist inside. A tall figure walked out cloaked in dark cloth, face hidden, steps slow and careful. Two more followed. Their hands were empty, their eyes glowing faint blue. They were not soldiers. They were watchers. Raya's breath caught. She stepped around Daniel and whispered, I know them. You do. They're from Astra's people, she said. From the old code. The Star Archive. They never speak. They only witness. The lead figure stopped a few feet away. He reached into his robe and pulled out a small, glowing cube. Then, he placed it on the ground between them. The cube floated, spinning, then it spoke. Not in sound, but in light, images burst from its scenes from the past. The fire. The attack. The machines under the ground. The village burning. The children running. The machine breaking, and in the middle of it all, a young alien girl with scorched skin and bloody hands pulling wires, stopping the flames. Raya gasped. That's me. Daniel stood frozen. They recorded everything. The watchers nodded slowly. They knew, Raya whispered. All this time, they knew. Daniel stepped closer to the cube. Then why didn't they help you? The lead watcher raised a hand. Then slowly removed his hood. His face was old, marked with scars. But kind, we watch, he said, in a soft voice. We do not interfere, unless the memory is at risk. Raya looked confused. The memory. The man nodded. You are more than a girl in chains. You are a story they tried to erase. A truth they buried. A light they feared. He pointed to the sky. One by one, dozens of small ships uncloaked above them, silent, watching. Some from Earth, some from old star colonies. Some from Astra's lost people. A galactic network awakened.rai. YA stepped back, eyes wide. All for me. No, the watcher said gently. For the truth. He touched the cube again. New light appeared, words across the sky, translated in hundreds of languages. Witness the child who faced the fire. Daniel turned to Raya. It's your story now. What do you want to do? Raya looked at the stars, and for the first time in her life, she stood tall. I want to go back, she said, to the village. Daniel asked, surprised. Yes, she said. Not to punish them, not to hurt them, but to show them I lived, to show them I forgive them, even if they never ask for it. Daniel stared at her. You'd forgive all of them? No, she said. But I won't carry their chains anymore. That's what Astra would have wanted. The watchers stepped aside. The ship door opened wider. Raya turned to Daniel. "Come with me." He smiled. "Always." They walked into the ship together, past the silent watchers, past the floating cube. As the door closed, the ship rose. The others followed. From above, the canyon looked small, but the story it carried was larger than any world.